All right, you guys, I have been inundating myself with Call of Duty Black Ops 4 over the last few days. Over the weekend, I've been sort of bouncing between that and Starlink, and I played some last night, and I played some this morning before I ran to the studio to give you guys my thoughts on Black Ops 4. First of all, I don't know exactly what's new and what's old. It's getting so confusing for me to kind of follow through on every single detail, every nuance, every remake of a classic map, or, you know, the bringing back classic characters. Specialists have returned, and they're a big part of, I guess what they're suggesting is the single-player snatches of content that you get in this thing, because you get these little quick preamble video sequences outlining a lot of death and brutality, and then you get the specialist kind of retraining and being retrofitted to be superior, kick-ass, badass characters with lots of great secondary abilities, like Ruin has this zip gun type thing, which will like a grappling hook, which will shoot up at different ledges and stuff, and have him zip up somewhere, which is really cool. A little reminiscent of stuff we saw in Titanfall. And there's lots of other things. So there's dogs, there's razor wire, there's electric sniper guns, and little RC vehicles that will chase down little little android bots that will chase down bad guys and zap them for you, so you can whip around the corner and blast them. I actually really liked the specialists. I thought the specialists were really fun to play because that carries over into the multiplayer, and you can have everybody choose their own specialists. There's a lot of customization in this game, of course, so you can make it anything you want, basically, but they also have a lot of pre-designed characters for you to jump in with, which I think is really cool. And of course, there's a whole suite of other characters that are part of the zombies experience. And then in Blackout mode, I keep wanting to say Blacktop. In Blackout mode, you can pull from this massive pool of characters, some that you can purchase for, getting the DLC pack and stuff like that. So stuff that you'll unlock as you progress and rank up throughout the game, and you also get the weapons and the better score streaks and all the other stuff that we've come to see in Call of Duty before. And I could detail everything that I could try to remember for you right now, but I think you'd rather hear how it feels to play Call of Duty Black Ops 4. And I could do this review just with sound effects, just getting shot like crazy, because it's really super loud and intense and insane, like every Call of Duty experience is. It's gorgeous. Beautiful, beautiful art from Treyarch. I ran into a couple of bugs. It feels like some of the texturing and stuff like that I think it needs another patch. It's just launched, but I think there's some issues on the PlayStation 4 Pro. At least that's what I was playing it on, where I saw some texture pop in. I saw some sort of rough textures on signage and stuff like that didn't feel fully realized and fully rendered, especially if you just pivot the camera and you can see the gorgeousness of something beside a sign. But then the weirdest thing I saw was this polygonal dude my character didn't pop in. He was just Polygonal Man, and I couldn't see down the barrel of the gun. This is actually footage of it right now. I couldn't see down the barrel of the gun because there were just like all these polygons in my face, and I got shot, and then I fell over, and I was just a bunch of blocks, and I thought, okay, that's weird. That doesn't feel like it's completely polished and finished. This I just recorded this morning, actually, which is kind of strange. And this little bit here is taken from one of the skirmish modes. It's a part of sort of the on-ramp for learning. Look at my polygon guy just falls over. But it's the on-ramp to get to understand what the specialists are capable of, and I think it's really a cool way that they've done it. So you get a little video vignette. It's sort of patchwork, sort of all attached, and they're all friends, or they know each other. They're all mercenaries killing her. Honestly, I can't keep it all straight in my head. Because it's all sort of. Black Ops is crazy to begin with, but when you cut it up and then you throw in all of the other doodads that are a part of Call of Duty Black Ops 4, it's really hard to keep all the details straight. But the specialists, you get the little story bit, and then you jump in and they teach you some of the mechanics. They give you all access to all the goodie bags of each of the tricks of the specialists, and then you get into a skirmish mode that gives you a chance to kind of test out the stuff. Now, in practice, that's fun, but, I guess in theory, in the skirmish mode, that's fun, but when you're in practice and you're actually out in the field with real people, it takes a long time to, have the not so much the grappling gun, that comes out pretty quickly, but the mesh wire, the mesh mines that you can you put one over on that corner and that on that corner. Those don't come up quick enough. So you're running around trying to stay alive. You're injecting yourself with health, because this time there is no auto regen on health and there are no health pickups along the map. You've got a trusty needle that you just keep jabbing into yourself as you keep getting shot, and you're waiting the whole time for all of your perks and things like that to sort of activate as you're trying to kill enemies and stuff. So it's a little bit of a balance through all of that. It does get really fun when you can start to send robots out and see those mesh mines working, or grapple up above a firefight and drop down on them. There's lots of cool weapons in here. They've figured out almost every way you can kill people in this thing, and it's gory and it's great looking and it's very tactile and very satisfying. The pace of the game is not as slow as World War II was last year, which makes sense, but it's also not the super fast, sort of infinite warfare stuff. It's not the sci-fi Call of Duty. It leans into that, but it doesn't go all the way, so it's not Titanfall. It did make me miss Titanfall and the mobility of Titanfall, but we know that Call of Duty has suffered because they've tried to go into that space, no pun intended, and people just want more boots on the ground. So this is, I think, a happy medium, which works quite well for the multiplayer component. And then, of course, we've siloed off, and we also have a zombies component, which is massive. You get to go through the haunted Alcatraz. I think that might be a throwback or a remake of stuff that's come out before, but the haunted Alcatraz is really cool. What's different now is there's a Titanic level that you get to, shoot at zombies in, and there's also a gladiator arena that you get to shoot at zombies in, and there's all kinds of elixirs that you can pick up and potions that will, slow down time so you can activate your power up for a little bit longer. There's instant kill type things that you can. It's very arcadey, it's very accessible, and the thing about the zombies games is that you don't want to quit out on the other people that you're playing with, which I did. I'm sorry to the people that I was playing with. I put in about an hour on it, but I had to kind of keep moving on to check out some of the other content in the game. But there are some really, really good zombies players out there right now, as you know, in Call of Duty, and they are gung-ho, and they want to get as high as they possibly can, and it just gets insane after like level 13 or 14. The zombies are just like running at you, and they're like almost invincible. Your bullets are gone, unless you start to really understand the intricacies and you armor up properly. And I saw these guys had these incredible shields with spikes all over them, and they had all of the cool electrical power-ups and stuff like that. There's a lot of nuance in zombies. It does feel like we've played a lot of zombies. Call of Duty really has given us a lot of zombies, and this may be the most robust offering of zombies in lieu of there not being a single-player story campaign in this game. But holy crap, is there a lot of zombies, and it takes a long time to kind of... if you've played any zombie game, this is my thing with the zombies. If you've played it at all ever before, and we all have, it takes a long time to get going. It takes a long time for the game to kind of start freaking you out by the pace of the bad guys, and that's absolutely true whether you're playing in the gladiator arenas or on the Titanic or in Alcatraz. It's super cool, it's super slick, but yeah, it takes a long time to get going. The reason why I really, really like Black Ops 4 is Blackout is really fun. It's a totally cool. I think they're going to carve this out and make this a standalone product. It would make sense to me. It would make sense to me to have them, just deliver this as a mode for every future Call of Duty game, or for it to be a standalone thing like Fortnite. But it's really fun to jump into vehicles. I played with other players, and one of the things that I do often when I play Call of Duty games, and it certainly happened this time, because you get a lot of opinionated people when you play online shooters like this, and sometimes you just don't want to hear from everybody. So that option to toggle everybody off and mute everybody except for people that are in your party, I used that. And so when I jumped into the quad modes of Blackout, I wasn't really chatting with people. And so, and one of the guys that I was playing against started shooting right at me, So obviously, kind of new to the experience and was freaked out and didn't know what team we were on. I shot him once with the shotgun, quieted him down, and then I went off and got an ATV, and I kept beeping the horn to get one of these guys to kind of jump on, and we'd go race around. We did that for a little bit, but I think that this is going to be a game where teams of people are going to really, really gravitate towards it and have a great time working out all kinds of strategies, taking the little dinghy boats out with different people in them, taking the choppers out and the ATVs out, exploring the vast map that pieces together lots of great Call of Duty scenery that we've seen before, and the mechanics are great. I switched it to being able to pick up the weaponry and the items and stuff at a quicker button press, because the default is you're holding down on the button, and sometimes you're holding down that square button and you're getting shot in the back. So I just wanted to run over stuff and keep hammering on it. And honestly, I started to kind of get the groove on the thing. I played it solo and I came in number 3, and I was like, yeah, okay, I get this. It's really cool. I didn't have all the good loot. I didn't know where all the good loot might be. I haven't played 100 hours of Blackout mode, but I got the feel of making a beeline for the hills and going prone into tall grass and being very still and very quiet and sneaking up on people. And I got some pretty good kills, and it felt freaking awesome. And I just think that the mechanics are solid, and the art is beautiful, and the controls of the vehicles are really fun. I'm very impressed with all that. As a multiplayer offering, this is very enticing. This is definitely something that I can see myself dropping into and having a good couple of hours with. I do wholeheartedly miss the single-player campaign. I think it's incredibly important when you have a product like this, which is some of the best art that the games industry can make. And with that art, there comes this expectation that there's going to be a little narrative thread and a little story, even if it's crazy, even if it's nonsensical, even if it out Michael Bay, which I've said many times before about Call of Duty titles. It's still a fun crazy. I've liked going out into space. I've liked jumping into tanks in World War II. I've liked working as the Big Red One. I've liked the chatter and the casting and the cinematography and the aspirations of the Call of Duty teams to kind of create their own mini movies within their games. I know that they're not the most popular modes. I know that these multiplayer modes bring in the hundreds of hours of playtime that sort of justifies the expense of jumping into this game, and then for a lot of people to buy the season pass. I get all of that. As a business decision, I understand all of that. Still, I've played every Call of Duty game, right from the very beginning, and it's meaningful to me. We made the making of Call of Duty Big Red One with Activision and Treyarch for the military channel back in the day. I've been there right along for the ride. The absence of story in this game, it's missing. It's missing for me. I still think this is great. I think that Treyarch is an exceptional team. They know how to make fun things. I think that they played it, somewhat safe. They didn't go too far into the sci-fi stuff, and they didn't go too far into the slower-paced kind of World War II stuff. They got it nice, tidy in the middle, and they've also created, I think, tremendous building blocks for where online multiplayer in Call of Duty goes from here on out. If you're a huge fan of this first-person shooter series, you've already got this game, and you're probably level 48. And by this weekend, you'll be 51 or whatever. And so you're having a good time with this thing. I think it's going to be a very interesting comparison to see how the Battlefield 5 story stuff draws people in, and how we can sort of compare that product to this product. But still, this is very solid. It's definitely worth the dough, but I think if you're like me, you're going to be missing that story. I'm going to give Call of Duty Black Ops 4 8.5 out of 10.